Yo everyone, what's going on? Couriway here, and today I'm super excited to announce that the ultimate Minecraft speedrunning guide that I've been working on over on Metafy is complete. This guide has basically everything you need to know about speedrunning, from overworlds to all the bastions to every possible zero cycle setup. It is everything you could need to know if you're trying to just learn the game for the first time, or if you're already an experienced runner who is going for a sub 10, a sub 9, etc. I still think there is going to be stuff in this guide that you can learn from. Now, over on Metafy, it is a completely free guide. I know over here in the top it says purchase for one-time free. You're not purchasing anything. It's 100% free. The reason why I decided to do this on Metafy is I think their platform is actually quite good, and I think there's a lot of other coaching things that are done from other games like TCG and fighting games, and I've also coached on Metafy before. If you have been around for a while, you know that. But I wanted to do this guide on there because I think their platform is really good, and it will just be hosted here forever, basically. And I'm really, really happy about that. So if you want to download the guide, and then I'll showcase different subsections of it once we kind of get through this part. This is on an incognito tab, so I'm not logged in or anything. You can view the guide, but to view the guide, you do have to make an account. So once you sign into your account, make an account. It's super easy. You can connect it to your Discord or Twitch or whatever. Personally, mine's just connected to my Discord, which I just find the easiest. But once you have all that set up, the guide will look like this. And I can view the guide here. There have also been over 5,000 downloads or subscriptions or whatever you want to call it for the guide. You can see here 5,219 at the time of recording this, which is kind of insane. So already a bunch of people have kind of looked at it, and I wanted to go through here, show you all the different sections of it in case anyone's confused about anything, and kind of go from there and just kind of, again, get kind of more publicity is not the right word, but I want people to know that this guide exists since I hadn't made a YouTube video about it. When you first load into the guide, there are 6 official chapters, but I also did add a chapter 0. And basically what this is it tells you a little bit about the guide, what to expect, etc. I actually probably should update this because the publishing timeline is done. Like this is complete. Don't really need this anymore, so maybe I'll clear that out by the time this starts. Each section also has credits. I've tried to do my best to like put credits for each specific person who's helped design or create something in the Minecraft speedrunning scene for a specific section. I've probably missed some things. If you yourself created anything or you know of something that I'm missing, please leave a comment, shoot me a message on Discord, anything like that, because I want this to be properly credited with everything. But I think I've done a fairly good job of that from the research that I've done, and also just being in the community for 5 years. And I also left some words here at the start, and I think this is very important. So I'm going to read this fully out loud. You're going to have to deal with me. Minecraft speedrunning is hard. The best runners you've ever heard of have spent thousands of hours of their life refining their craft, and their dedication, having seen it firsthand, is awe-inspiring. The biggest piece of advice I can give you, whether you've never played Minecraft before, have played for years, or have even speedrun before, is be patient. Everything in this game takes time. I applaud you for taking the time to give this a real shot. You will get confused, you will feel lost, and you will die while speedrunning a lot. It's part of the game, and everyone you've ever watched has gone through the same ups and downs you will experience when you start playing. Have faith in yourself, take your time, and most importantly, play the game how you want to play the game. I think that's really important because I think sometimes people see, not only me, which I've personally, if you've been following the Twitch recently, I've been dying way too much recently, and I know this all too well right now, that this game is difficult. It will beat you down. There is so much RNG, but even players like Doogile, like Loki, the world record holder, like Hacking Noises, the player who just won playoffs, like this game is so difficult. All of these players have had their own ups and downs, so please do not feel discouraged when you're learning. It is an incredibly technical game, an incredibly confusing game, and this guide aims to help bridge the gap when you're starting for the first time. After you get through this, you're going to have Chapter 1, and Chapter 1 is all about the setup and introduction to Minecraft speedrunning. Now, this, along with a couple other sections, have been written by other people in the community. Not everything in this guide has been written by me. For example, this first chapter is written by Draconix. Now, if you don't know who Draconix is, they are a leaderboard verifier and super mod of the MinecraftSpeedrun.com page, which basically means they are literally like the best possible person who could write this section. And I'm truly grateful that Draconix had the time to do this. And the main goal of this guide as well, on top of everything else, is just kind of getting everything in a consolidated space so you just know where to go for everything. And Draconix went just above and beyond. So obviously, as you can see, this chapter is absurdly long. We're not going to go through everything. I just want to skim through and show you what to expect when you download or subscribe. I always say download. You're not downloading anything. It's I guess you're subscribing it. It's viewing, whatever term you want to use. And remember, everything in this guide, 100% is free. It will always be free, and none of that will ever change. This will always be a 100% free resource for people in the Minecraft speedrunning community. So the first section, Draconix did basically a 20-minute video, which, when you think about it, is not that much time, where you can basically learn everything you need to know. So it has a bunch of links for getting your Minecraft launcher set up, all the mods you need to know, all the practice maps, the external things like Ninja Rainbot and Jingle, which is used to set up your OBS instance, and all of these things are explained in this video. And then as you go, what I would recommend is you put this video in like a second tab and you kind of scroll down this, because it's basically all in order of the video that Draconix made, and you can kind of just go down. You can see, so we go from the version and category, what do we need, running the game, and all of this is organized. So basically how this worked when we were doing this is Draconix wrote the entire thing in a Google Doc, and then I transferred over to Metafy with the formatting, the images, all of that stuff. And there's just so many different things. Like you could see, I'm not going to focus on anything here, but there's a ton of incredible tools. And I think, honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the guide, because I know how difficult Minecraft speedrunning can be to set up. I've coached a lot of people getting it set up. I've like seen how it's just a huge barrier to entry for a lot of people. And I want this to be as low as possible. There's also so many things in here. As you can see, I just kind of scrolled past it. There's an FAQ at the bottom here. And it's basically like, if something is going wrong, you can check this FAQ. It is almost certainly listed. Like, there's so many different avenues that Draconix kind of went through. Like, if you're having a problem, like if you miss this, no, if you miss this, no, if you miss this, like there's like 3 or 4 levels of checks for a bunch of different things. You can see like graphic settings on your Windows. There's a bunch of different settings for a bunch of different things. And also in this chapter, Ninja Rainbot and all the external stuff is covered. So for example, in like the post blind split chapter, we don't go over Ninja Rainbot again, because all of that you should already know how to do from setting it up in this section, because it also goes over testing and all of that stuff. So a bunch of credits at the bottom. A huge shout out to Draconix, and just incredible work. And you can see none of Minecraft speedrunning that it is today is possible without these incredible people making it really happen. In chapter 2, this is resetting in Overworlds. I'm pretty sure this entire section was written by me. But I felt really, I had a really good time writing this chapter. This is probably my favorite chapter that I wrote, because I didn't write all of the chapters as you just saw. Basically, again, this one, now we have everything set up. Let's start with Overworlds, and then we kind of go in order from Overworlds to the Nether, post-blind, and then entering the end. So starting out here, we have resetting in Overworlds. I give a general overview at the start of like, what's your goal? Just like a very brief, you know, if you know nothing about Minecraft speedrunning, like what are the goals that we need to get done in the Overworld? So it's like, we need a bucket, a pickaxe, and steel, etc. And then every chapter kind of has this thing where it's like, this is assumed that you're going in order. Read the other section beforehand, because other things will be referenced throughout the guide that are covered in previous chapters. So we start off, we go over basically the 5 different overworld types you can do for MCSR Ranked, which is a mod where you can do 1v1s against each other. If you don't know that, I highly recommend checking out Minecraft Speedrunning Ranked. But there's 5 overworld types that you can get in that, which are Village, Ruin Portal, Desert Temple, Shipwreck, and Buried Treasure. So this guide covers all of those different things that you might need to know about that. I've also considered doing other like obscure things in this overworld. Like I don't really consider writing anything about like structuralists that I do for No Reset, or jungle temples, for example, or outposts or anything like that, just because they're so niche cases. But maybe in the future, that'll be something that can get added to the guide. But for this version 1.0, I didn't really feel like that was necessary. If you would like to see something like that, please let me know in the comments, because that's something that I can work on over the next however long. And it's super easy. Like with this guide, like I can edit something and publish it like right away, which is also something that I really like about the Metafy stuff. So again, villages, we go over like how to check for villages, how to go over stuff. I tried to be really detailed with everything. I have a bunch of images of like what you should be looking for, different blacksmith houses, different houses that can have other things, like for example, a village house with a bucket, a desert toolsmith, which can have a chest, the acacia bucket houses, all of that stuff with villages. And then there's also video examples of how you can basically do all of these things. There's lava portal guides, there's woodlight guides, and then we go over the other overworld types once you feel comfortable. You know, if you're starting for the first time, I recommend you do village. Once you feel comfortable with village, then we can move on to other overworld types. So then we talk about ranked, ruin portal overworlds. We have a completion for every single ruin portal type. We have a ruin portal obsidian guide, a ruin portal with completion with bucket. Then we go to desert temples, ocean overworlds. We do magma ravines 2x1. I also want to add another portal here at some point. There's another portal that I've actually learned recently with leaves that's been around for a while that I don't include in the guide. So I want to get that involved. And then we also go over, you know, how to find kelp and magma ravines. We go over bucket lists, and then we have shipwreck as well, and buried treasure as the actual overworld types. We also then have advanced resetting, which again, like I said, if you're going for like a sub 10 and beyond, I still think there's stuff in this guide for you. Something like this is a good example of that. Guided reset session from Meeby. If you don't know who Meeby is, I believe Meeby's PB is an 8 flat or something around there. Meeby's an incredibly skilled runner. RSG Demon has a guided reset session that you can watch of like him explaining why he's resetting and doing certain things and locking different things on the wall. And then also Boyan, another very skilled runner. I believe Boyan's PB is like 805 or something like that as well. Coaching Infume on Overworlds. And if you know anything about Infume, Infume is absolutely incredible. So a lot of really nice resources in here. And then again, we have a conclusion, then we have some credits. After that, we move on to the Nether Part 1. And the Nether is obviously very difficult because it is the bastions. It's kind of the biggest part of the run, which is why I separated it into 2 different chapters. And what we do here is basically Part 1 is like, okay, you're entering the Nether. We need to find where the bastion is, so we got to figure out the E-ray. We're going to go over the 2 first types of bastions. I also kind of go over this here, like the general overview of everything, etc. So firstly, we go over E-ray, then we go over pie charting, and I have videos for both of these. Then we have advanced pie charting, which is also very impressive. This is for like diagonals or other things like that. We also go over quadrants, which is really important because knowing where to go in the Nether with quadrants is really special and important to know how to do, especially at a higher level. We also go over the Piglin AI, and this section is actually written by Doogile and Silver. And if you know Doogile and Silverrruns, they're, again, 2 of, in my opinion, the 8 to 10 best players in the world. At worst, they're absolutely incredible, and I'm very thankful for their help in this section of the guide. They do a lot of stuff in the Nether, especially Silver, with all of this stuff in the guide. So they go over Piglin AI, how to distract the Piglin. There's gifs of like the explanations and the aggression tiers of Piglins, because if you don't know, there are different levels of aggression with Piglins, which is really important. There's also different rules of like Piglin AI, which is really important. And then we go over bastions. I lost a divider here. I got to go in there and fix that. I don't know why should be a divider here. Anyway, bastions part 1. So each section has 2 bastions because bastions are so complex. I didn't want to put them all in one chapter, especially because I was releasing these every 2 weeks. So it would have just taken too much time. The first 2 bastions in part 1 are treasure and bridge, I believe. But you get to see the bastions. There's a lot of different images here, which might seem repetitive, but I feel like as many images as possible explaining the bastions is really good, because being able to identify a bastion and being able to like click in your brain, oh, I know it's treasure, I know it's bridge, I know it's stables, is really important to becoming a better speedrunner. So there's a bunch of different images of bastions to kind of have that, and there's a bunch of different explanations about how it's laid out, etc. And then for the routing, again, this is all mostly Silver. Doogile did help at a couple different sections. I believe EDCR as well helped, I think, with some of the treasure stuff. With, again, EDCR, like I'm mentioning all these names. Like if I go to MCSR ranked and look at the leaderboard right now, EDCR is probably right here. There's Infume, there's EDCR, there's Silver, and there's Doogile. So, I mean, these guys are all, yes, you do see that behind my webcam. Beautiful. So, yeah. Okay, routing, again, Silver does a really good job of explaining the different levels. So there's a beginner treasure video where it kind of shows you the basics. And again, if you're going for a sub 10 and beyond, I highly recommend watching like the top level treasure type runs. These are really, really beneficial. And the technical detail that Silver goes into and explains is really impressive. Like really, really impressive. I think Silver is a great, great coach and did a phenomenal job on all of this. Also goes over how to mine spawners and treasure, goes over beginner and advanced bottom treasure looting. And again, this is all just for one of the 4 bastions. Then the other bastion in this section is actually housing, not bridge. So goes over housing, all of the images, all of the ways that you can tell. Like again, like I love something like this. Like when you see a distinct cut like this, you know it's a housing. This guide has all the different things like that. I also want to be clear, like, when I say this guide is free, like when you're downloading it, like I'm not like, or subscribing or viewing it or whatever. It's not like every time like you click on this, like I'm getting paid or anything like that. Like that's not how this works. This is a completely free guide. I made this resource because quite honestly, I was really frustrated with how spread out and not gatekeeping, because this community is not gatekeeping. As you see, we have so many people helping with this guide section, but I think everything is just so scattered, and everything just needed to get consolidated and organized, and some things need to be updated, and that was the main goal of this guide. That was the main goal of everything here. So it's not like I'm making this because I'm trying to get more money out of anything. Like, no, this is a completely free guide that you can view. Again, a bunch of different pictures of top and bottom. Then Silver goes over the routing, beginner, intermediate, top level, goes over lava housing, goes over the outer housing chest. I actually learned a lot from the outer housing chest because Silver explained it in a really concise way. Even goes over like this one is a fake one, so it's like don't get confused by the fake one. Bunch of different stuff like that. Also goes over backup blocks. And this is all just, again, the first chapter of the Nether. Then we go to the Nether part 2. So we have the bridge bastion. We start off with the other 2 bastions that we didn't go over. So we have bridge. Again, all the images and stuff. I believe Doogile did some of the routes and videos for bridge. Yeah, so because bridge has so many different variable elements to it, for the routing, because of the different ramparts to the sides, we have like a beginner bridge video by Silver, and then there's a bunch of different other videos for every possible combination that are done by Doogile. They're on my YouTube channel, but that's just because Doogile didn't upload them and uploaded them to a drive. But these are done by Doogile, which is very impressive. I also do find it pretty funny to watch Doogile try and do beginner bridge variations. It's very silly, but really did like a phenomenal job. And again, every possible case scenario that you could have is in here. So we have that for intermediate as well, and we have that for advanced as well. Then we have TNT chalice as well. We have bridge backup blocks, which are incredibly important sometimes, especially in ranked. And then we go over stables, which, if you know anything about stables, is a lot. And I think Silver did a phenomenal job again, explaining the intricacies of a stables bastion, how to route it, how to go over the different good and bad gaps so you can see the differences. So, for example, here, this is what a bad gap looks like because of this, but it's also, we're focusing on this wall that we're mining. So you can see this is bad because it doesn't open here. This is a good gap. You can see that it opens here. So all of this stuff is really, really crucial to being able to route a stables correctly. And these videos are incredibly well done. Like just 20 minutes of stables, like advanced stables, 30 minutes of intermediate stables, 20 minutes of beginner stables. Like all of this stuff is incredible. And there's also 33,000 words total roughly in this entire document. A bunch of other good videos from Ral here, or I should say a bunch of other great info in this one video from Ral. Just another 20 minutes of really interesting stuff of like how to find a chest and the outer sections and where to like pie chart. Like really high level stuff is in the section of the guide. And then we go back to me clowning around, which is the fortress. We go over fortress navigation. We go over blaze spawners. We go over different TNTs. All of that stuff is really important. We go over 5 render distance, overlapping, etc. And then we credit people at the bottom. Then we go to the smallest chapter in the guide, which is the post-blind split. I plan on adding maybe a little bit to this about like how to navigate certain terrain decisions, why we should try and stay high. I didn't really include a lot of that stuff in here because this version 1.0, I really wanted to focus more on like the technical elements and less like intuition-y stuff. I really want to make sure like the general line that you take is kind of done. So this chapter, I would say, is the one that I think could get updated the most, but we still go over how to pre-craft, why pre-crafting is important. We go over eye measuring, but not really because we already went over that in the chapter 0 of the guide. And then we go over the stronghold, which we also have another incredible video from someone named Mary, who I believe their name is Mary. I really don't want to misspeak here. Okay, this person is like a bajillion different names because on here it's Mimi, on here it's Michiru, and on Discord it's Mary. So I tried. I'm sorry. This is incredible as well. Like this doc itself is incredible. And when I saw this, I was like, can you make this in a video form? Like I would pay you to make this in a video form for the guide. And they did exactly that. And they also made it like super easy to follow. There's a bunch of really like this video is incredibly well edited. A lot of like the Silver stuff is like him rambling, which is great because I mean, again, like who doesn't want to hear Silver ramble about like a stables or a housing bastion, etc. But with something as technical as preemptive, I think Mary did a really good job like summarizing and consolidating the really important information in ways that are very easy to understand in a video form, where preemptive is actually quite annoying most of the time. Incredible job on this video. And then that only leaves one chapter left, which is the biggest chapter by far, which might seem crazy after everything we've gone over, but this is the end. This is the end chapter. So everything here is covered immediately as you enter the end. That's basically how this chapter works. So we go over the general overview of everything. A lot of this chapter is written by Camo, which if you don't know who Camo is, they are a former second place in the world RSG runner. And in my opinion, one of the best zero cyclers in the world and has done so much extensive tech on zero cycle. So I reached out to them. And again, they wanted to help with the guide, and I'm incredibly, incredibly grateful that Camo put as much time as he did into this, because I'll just scroll really quickly and then we'll go back to the top. The amount of stuff in this is absurd. Every possible thing that you could possibly imagine is in this. We have a bunch of important stuff to kind of start with. Then we go over one cycling, which is really important because obviously you should know how to one cycle first. This chapter, quite honestly, I think some people get confused sometimes. Like if you're just starting to speedrun, the end fight is actually not bad at all because you don't really have to worry about zero cycle. You don't have to worry about ground zero, all these other crazy technical things. The end fight really scales as you scale as a player. So when you're starting out in the beginning, the end fight is actually not scary at all. Like you know, if you're just a beginner and you're not planning on learning zero cycle, we have one cycling, we go over half bow, and that's really it. Like that's really it that you need to know. And we go over like where you should stand, etc., and like the text that I'm not really pointing out, but that's really it. And then everything else here is why zero cycle is important, why speedrunners do zero cycle, all the technical aspects behind it. Camo, I think, does a really good job of explaining why all of this is important. And then Camo, I want to say there's like 200 YouTube videos in here, and I'm not exaggerating, as you'll see. There are so many different YouTube videos about each individual specific thing that you can do on a zero cycle. Like just for example here, this shows 3 videos, one with correct timing, one with too early timing, one with too late timing. So this all just shows how you should be timing your beds on just one zero cycle setup that we're just learning as the first one. And Camo does a great job. Obviously, these are all correct beds. Then you can see what happens if it's too early. So we'll see here, Camo's going to bed too early, and then it's going to break the bed on the second time around, and you can kind of compare and contrast these videos to see why. And then you can see one that's a little bit too late. So you'll see here when Camo beds the dragon a little bit later, this dragon is now higher up, and now it's just going to be doing less damage that you see down here. So all of these things kind of exist here in this final chapter of the guide. We go over anchors, we go over obsidian anchors, we go over how to pearl onto the tower. We go over the different setup heights. And again, this is just incredible wealth of information and knowledge that Camo was willing to share and organize and everything. Like our DMs on Discord are just so many millions of images. And you can see again, all of these different videos that you can just click on and watch and see any of these things that are happening. If any single setup is confusing you at all, oh, I just broke my internet apparently. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. If any of these single setups are confusing you, you can watch literally every single thing. And I know sometimes maybe like, you know, all these abbreviations and stuff like T103, Y104 might sound confusing to you. I'm skipping over all of the text that Camo explains earlier on in this section to make that make sense. So for example, T103 stands for tall, Y height of 103. And then the Y height you're standing on for the 0 is 104. That's basically all these things mean. And Camo does a great job of explaining that in the guide. And again, this is nonstop, dude. Like, Camo went crazy on this. And there's also how to go over buried overhangs and how to pearl clip and all of these other things that are really important for learning how to zero cycle. So you can try and zero basically every single end. We go over side setups. We go over double bedding. We go over how to use a bow. We go over how to use a crossbow. And again, just a wealth of videos for every possible situation that could go right and also could go wrong. So Camo, again, phenomenal job explaining all of this, all these videos. This took a ton of time, and I'm really grateful that he was able to help with this. And I'm really grateful that Draconix, Silver, Doogile, Mary, all of these people were able to help make this guide what it is. And that's not even including the videos that I utilized from people who made them previously in the past, like a K4, a Fyro, an Osh, a Marcus. Like, there's just so many different people, like I said in the beginning, who have made this game what it is. And I'm glad that this guide exists now for pretty much everything you could possibly ever learn. And as I keep scrolling here, you could see there's even more technical stuff, how to save a failed zero cycle, which is actually quite important. And then also how to ground zero, which is a really good save strategy for ranked potentially. I use it a ton in no reset. And then that's basically the guide. And then we have credits, and that's everything. So I know this is a pretty big yap from me, but I hope this kind of explains what you're looking for when you download the guide. Or I keep saying download. You're not downloading it. You're viewing it on Metafy's website. The link will be pinned and in the description down below. Please go check it out. I hope this is helpful for people. I know I made a community post a while ago of like what things I should include. I want to make a tutorial. That tutorial became this. That's what became of the tutorial. And I'm really, really happy with how this came out. And I look forward to updating it with certain things in the future. If you have suggestions, anything that I missed, I'd love to include it. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it, because this took literally 3 months to put together and it's fully done. And I'm super, super, super happy with it. So thank you so much for watching. I know videos have been a little bit scarce. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff IRL. But hopefully I have a lot of cool videos coming after this as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all very soon. Peace out, everyone.